Iran warns U.S. attack will bring hell to region as Trump says neg welcome to the channel. In a dramatic escalation of tensions, Iran has issued a stark warning to the United States, stating that any military aggression will unleash hell across the region. This fiery rhetoric from Tehran follows a series of developments that have once again placed the Middle East at the center of global attention. Iranian military officials and top government leaders have come forward, declaring, in no uncertain terms, that an American attack on Iranian soil will not go unanswered. Instead, it would ignite a regional firestorm that could spiral out of control. The Iranian leadership, emboldened by a sense of regional influence and strategic depth, has emphasized that their response would be unpredictable, overwhelming, and devastating. From the Strait of Hormuz to the borders of Lebanon and Syria, Iran's allies and proxy forces are said to be on high alert, awaiting potential instructions to act if hostilities begin. Tehran's confidence is based not only on its military capabilities but also on its ideological stance, resistance. The warning serves both as a deterrent and a statement of readiness, revealing Iran's calculated preparation for any escalation. While Iran's threats stir anxiety, President Donald Trump's stance introduces a paradox. Despite his past maximum pressure campaign, including severe sanctions and the withdrawal from the 2015 nuclear deal, Trump has recently stated that negotiation with Iran is possible. He suggests that Iran would do well to come to the table. His remarks indicate a softer tone, a strategic pivot from confrontation to possible dialogue, though it remains unclear if Iran would engage under current conditions. This duality, threats of annihilation versus the possibility of negotiation, underscores the unpredictability of the U.S.-Iran relationship. Trump's messaging appears to be an attempt to reassert American power while leaving the door open for diplomacy, but for Iranian leaders, his words may come off as hollow unless accompanied by concrete changes in U.S. policy. Tehran remains deeply skeptical of American intentions, especially after years of sanctions, cyber attacks, and the assassination of General Qasem Soleimani. Iran's leaders believe that their strength lies in regional alliances. Hezbollah in Lebanon, militias in Iraq, and the Houthis in Yemen form a web of influence capable of striking U.S. interests and allies if war breaks out. In the event of an American attack, Iran promises to unleash these allies in a coordinated response. The threat is not limited to missile strikes or military clashes, but includes cyber warfare, economic disruption, and strategic targeting of oil infrastructure. What makes this moment especially tense is the readiness on both sides. The U.S. has positioned military assets in the Gulf, increased surveillance, and put regional bases on alert. Iran, in turn, has conducted missile tests and military exercises intended to demonstrate its defensive capabilities and readiness for asymmetric warfare. The balance of power is fragile. A single miscalculation or provocation could lead to a chain reaction with global implications. Tehran's hell warning is also a signal to regional players. Countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Israel are carefully watching the situation, knowing they could be immediate targets in a broader conflict. For them, Iran's threats are not bluster, they are a possible reality. Each of these nations has their own red lines, alliances, and security concerns, meaning that any U.S.-Iran conflict will not remain bilateral for long. Meanwhile, within Iran, the leadership seeks to rally national support. State media plays up the idea of resistance, portraying the U.S. as a fading empire trying to reassert dominance. The message is designed to unify Iranians behind the regime at a time when economic hardship and political dissent have created internal pressure. By framing the confrontation as a defense of sovereignty and honor, Tehran aims to silence domestic critics and galvanize the population. In the United States, the narrative is more complex. Trump's willingness to talk contrasts sharply with his administration's previous actions. His advisors are split between hawkish figures advocating a hard line and diplomats urging restraint. Public opinion in the U.S. is wary of another war in the Middle East, especially one with a powerful and unpredictable opponent like Iran. The memory of Iraq and Afghanistan still looms large. This geopolitical standoff plays out in the shadows of economic calculations, too. Oil prices react with every statement from Tehran or Washington. Investors, businesses, and governments around the world are preparing for the possibility of disruption to global energy flows. A war with Iran would not be contained to battlefields. It would reverberate through markets, economies, and international relations. Despite the grim warnings, there is still a narrow path for diplomacy. Back-channel communications between intermediaries continue, and some U.S. allies in Europe are pushing for renewed talks. Iran, while publicly firm, has hinted through unofficial channels that it might consider negotiations, but only if the U.S. lifts sanctions and returns to previous commitments. Trust, however, remains the biggest casualty in this standoff. As both sides escalate their rhetoric, the world watches closely. Will this turn into another tragic chapter of conflict in the Middle East, or will reason prevail at the last moment? Iran's vow to bring hell may be aimed at deterrence, but history has shown that threats can often be misread and intentions can spiral into actions. And if that happens, the consequences will not be limited to Iran and the United States. The entire region, and indeed the world, could face the fallout. The United States must now decide if it wants to push further or pivot. Trump's recent statements suggest that he may be seeking a deal to avoid war and claim a diplomatic victory. For Iran, the choice is equally crucial: stand firm and risk devastation, or engage in an attempt to reshape the future on its terms. The coming days will reveal whether these two nations can step back from the brink or if the fuse has already been lit. The threat of hell may be metaphorical, but the stakes are painfully real. One wrong move could drag the region into chaos, ignite sectarian conflicts, collapse governments, and destabilize economies. In this high-stakes game of power, the price of failure could be far more than either side is willing to pay. Otion is possible.